Great, so could you first of all introduce yourself?
Okay, I'm Faye Hodge.
It's nice to meet you. Could you tell me what brought you to Carlisle or what brought your parents to Carlisle?
I was born here.
When were you born?
Excuse me?
When were you born?
When?
Yes.
June 25th, 1943.
How was it growing up in Carlisle?
Well, in the early years, you know, when you're just young, up to about 10, you don't realize a lot of things as you get older. But one thing happened to me when they had the Wilson School, which used to be on the corner of Pitt and North. I lived like not even a block away from the school, but I didn't go to that school. I went up to the Stevens School. And everyone else in my family went there. My sister, my brothers, they all went right there. So there was a division, which I didn't know anything about till I got older, and it was due to segregation. So many children of color, they moved around. So I was the only one in my house went to that school. And there wasn't that many up at Stevens at the time. It was older ones, because I even refused to go to school. My uncle had to get somebody, pay somebody to take me, because I couldn't figure out why. I was just young, you know, going to first grade, because at the time we didn't have kindergarten. And so I didn't realize why I was going there, and they were just going half a block up the street, you know. But that's the way it was in Carlisle. You either went to Wilson, or they sent them to Penn School, which is now a senior citizen building. But
do you think Carlisle has changed since you've grown up?
yes, it has.
Could you explain how?
Well, when I was growing up, there's places that they didn't want, you couldn't go. One was the restaurant, which I think is Alibis or now, whatever that was there. If you wanted something, you had to go in the back door. Because my brother used to be, he was just a teenager and he worked back in the kitchen. But that's how you got served. You went back through where they piled the trash at to order something. And there were some other restaurants that wouldn't serve you in town. When I started working, some of the girls, because I worked at the courthouse, they said, oh, we used to go to that restaurant right there on the corner. I said, not me. I said, I wouldn't buy anything from there. And they said, why? I said, because they wouldn't serve black people. You think I'd spend my money in there? No. And she said, well, we used to go and order breakfast. I said, no, I wouldn't do that. But there was, and when we were going to school, they sent a couple, after we graduated, a couple of our friends, they sent them to these restaurants, and they wouldn't serve them. So Carlisle was prejudiced. There was prejudice even in the police force. Can't find my keys.
What do you think has improved in Carlisle specifically?
What has improved?
If any.
The school system somewhat. I wouldn't say it fully has improved.
Do you mean specifically race integration for the school systems?
To an extent. Kids are raised different today than they were even when I was coming up. And sometimes they cause the problems. A lot of times it's not actually just race, but the way some of these kids are raised today, that they themselves cause problems.
Do you think anything has gotten worse in Carlisle?
You know, I think one thing is worse. Well, it's not worse, but one thing in Carlisle, they say the most segregated place is the churches. And that's right. I mean, you shouldn't have a white church and a black church. You know, because we all got to end up maybe the same place, you know, but it is.
Do you have any ideas on how to integrate the two churches? Do you think that there should just be one church in particular that everybody goes to?
Not exactly one church, but I think you should have freedom to go to any church you want to go to.
And do you feel like you personally are almost barred from going to a white church?
I don't think you're barred, but I think it's the way that some people look at you. You know, I don't know if you went to the expo when they had that program out there, most of the church people, and you divided into groups and did your prayer or whatever. That was good. Those people were so nice. But if they see you out in the street, would they speak to you?
So do you think that it's an attitude thing that needs to be changed for the integration to become real?
It's attitude. And it's the way people were raised. We were raised, because when I lived over Pitt Street, I was raised with white people. White people lived on the block. So we didn't have, and we played together. So we didn't have that feeling that we were different, you know. Matter of fact, we have white people in our church, but still, there's still problems with that in churches, I think.
Did you have any opinion on Dickinson College while you were growing up?
No, as a matter of fact, we had some people went to our church that worked there, and also Nyman Williams, his daughter, graduated from Dickinson with honors, and that was like in the 39 or 40s or something like that. And then she moved from Carlisle, I think, to Washington, but she didn't come back till later years after her father died. But very few, and actually my cousin worked in the financial part of Dickinson, and she started taking classes. And she said, one of her bosses said, why don't you just go ahead and finish? And she did. She graduated and she went to Carlisle High School as an English teacher. But she got cancer, so she passed away a few years ago. So I think it's fair enough. You see more black students now than you ever did. Because I come through there and I get stopped right there at the campus all the time, you know. And I notice there's quite a few black students. And it used to be it was a money thing with Dickinson. If you didn't have the money, you know, you couldn't go. But as I said, I see a lot there now, and I'm sure the parents are not really wealthy. But it's good to see it.
So has your opinion of the Dickinson College become more positive?
Yes.
And is there anything you particularly miss that's not here anymore that was here while you were growing up?
Oh, yeah. I miss the stores. We used to have those sidewalk sale days, and they were just great. They would block the streets off, and all the stores, you could just go from store to store across the street. You miss that. You miss the old time way. You know, and all those stores are gone. All we have on Hanover Street now is restaurants, you know. The old Woolworth store, you know, so that's what I really miss, is the stores that have moved out. And it was the thing on holidays, just to walk uptown, you know. And then a lot of people did more walking than they do probably now, because the grocery stores, they just walked up to the stores, you know. But that's what I really miss.
Do you think there has been a lack of community in modern day? You spoke a lot about how it sounds as if there was a sense of community in when you were a child. Do you think that has changed in modern time?
Um, there's always changes, and I think maybe it has a little bit. And I think what the changes are that a lot of people are no longer here. A lot of people passed away. And we got now an onslaught of new people in Carlisle. I mean, and they just they're not friendly with anybody, you know. And they said they come from Philadelphia, Baltimore, New York, and they live all over Carlisle. Actually, they live in places where black people never lived. They're all over Carlisle, but they're not friendly with other black people in Carlisle. So that's a difference.
What did you do for fun? Do you remember any specific places where you hung around the most?
Yeah, when we were growing up, it used to be the community center, which is now One West Penn. That was our hangout. And we had dances, we had all kinds of things there. But that's gone. You know, things we had when we were younger are gone. Like the park used to be a cemetery, and one part of it on Penn Street, people used to get together and play softball. Women would play and the guys would go over there and play, you know, but all that's gone because the only thing left there is Hope Station.
Do you remember any major events that happened while you were growing up?
Major events. No, not in Carlisle.
No? I read about that there were a lot of fires that happened in Carlisle. Do you remember any specific ones of those?
Yeah, I do. I remember the one when the stores burnt on, High Street. Now it's where the hotel is. I remember that one. It was a hardware store and a clothing store. And then I remember the one where the young girl died, jumped out the window, and Terry Smallwood was accused of setting the fire. She spent 42 years in jail, and now it's coming up that maybe that fire wasn't started the way they said it was, you know, and I hope they don't try to put her back in after 42 years, you know.
What do you hope will change in Carlisle?
What I hope will change?
In Carlisle, yes.
The drug traffic.
Can you speak more about that? Has it increased at all?
It has increased. And I think some of these new people are bringing it into Carlisle. And some people I know, as a matter of fact, a couple of them, one died about a week and a half ago, and I understood that he had heart surgery, but he went back on drugs. You know, and then there's another one that's in the hospital now that did the same thing. So the drugs are really running rampant, I think, in Carlisle. Schools, I don't know what they're doing about it, but a lot of it is maybe not through the schools. It may be through, I don't know where they're getting it from. And some of it is from other sources out of town bringing it in. But I think that's a big problem.
If there was one thing that you could change about Carlisle and have no repercussions for changing that, what would you change?
What would I change? I don't know, because there's opportunity for jobs, but you find a lot of people just walking the street, guys and girls that won't even apply for these jobs. It was hard to get a job when I came up, you know, and because I started working in the department store, which is now Lowe's, and I was there for 13 years, and I left there when that closed and went to work at Maslin's. So I was there 17 years until they went under. And I left there and went to the courthouse. Well, the courthouse is not going under. But I got sick and then I had to retire. But so I think most of it is jobs. They can get jobs much better than when I was coming up. There wasn't any jobs when I got out of high school. And most of my friends, their parents couldn't afford to send you on to college, you know. So you had to get a job working someplace. So, I mean, I didn't go to school till I was like 55. And I went to computer school, and that was hard at 55, you know, learning something.
All right, I think that's it. Thank you so much
Okay.
for your time.
All right.
It was nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too. Now what are you doing?